Ah. Mm. I look like a floozy. Let me fix that. And you know, lately I've been thinking about how I love Jesus. 'Cause Jesus was a dirty, homeless, hippie peace activist. And he said, drop out and find God to anybody who would listen. Turning water into space bags. Turning water into space bags. Turning water into space bags with low lives and anarchists. Hello, Andrew. What's up, Casey? Hello, Dallas. Are you like a representative for the Cowboys by any chance? Hello, Michelle. No, I'm not a boy. I mean, I like 6 or 7 years ago, if you had asked that question, I would have been like, yeah. But nowadays, I just admit to you guys that my penis doesn't have much to do with my gender. And if that wasn't obvious before I transitioned for the people in my life, then I don't know if they were like not paying attention or not giving it a lot of thought or what, but I'll tell you this much. When I transitioned about 5 years ago, it did not come as a surprise to most of my friends. Get a life, bro? I have too much of a life. Core, you should be intensely jealous of how much of a life I have. I have a regular job that really fucking well for the area that I live in, above the cost of living, like the minimum cost of living around here. I live on a family farm that I will be inheriting upon my parents' death, that they are in the process of turning over the reins to me as we speak. I have a child, and I have a monetized YouTube channel, which is probably the only thing you care about. So on which front am I doing better than you? Because there's probably one. Do you own your own home? If so, are you paying a mortgage? Because if so, got one over on you. Do you like doing YouTube as a hobby? If so, has your channel been monetized yet? If not, got one over on you. Don't tell me to get a life, bro. You're not going to like the roast that follows. I mean, hey, dude, if you want to use my chat as an outlet to go like, Trump, 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 well, you can do it after 5 minutes, I guess. Personally, I don't give much of a shit. Like, I'm not a partisan. You assume too much about me if you think I'm a partisan, merely because I'm trans. Damn it. Fucking hairs. 35% of eligible voters in America didn't vote last year. You know what that means? That about a third of this country was smart enough to figure out that neither the Republicans nor the Democrats had their best interests at heart. But idiots like these spammers that just want to sit in here and like post Trump over and over again, they aren't even like intelligent enough to engage with the topic. If I asked this person with the weird name in chat, like, what of Trump's policies do you particularly support? They're not going to be able to give me provide me with a cogent answer, you know? So it's really just fascinating. Okay, now we can get rid of the Trump spammers. All right, it's gotten annoying. It's no longer funny. I didn't think they were all going to do it. So we can get rid of the Trump spammers now. And you can like permanently hide them, by the way. You don't have to... You don't, well, that's a bit long. Let's do 1 minute. You don't have to time them out, though. And if you're going to time them out for like a day. Unless it's like a small infraction or something, you know what I mean. But if somebody's just spamming, if they're making the conversation more difficult to participate in and read, then just ban that motherfucker. You can get him out permanently. Preach. Exactly. Yeah. You can just fucking throw them in the gulag. I don't give a fuck about those motherfuckers. Like, if somebody's like trying to be a decent person and they just fuck up a little on a word here and there, or if somebody says something that is sideways, but you think there's a chance that they might redeem themselves at least by being interesting or something, then yeah, hit them with a 5-minute timeout or a 60-second timeout. But anybody that's just like spamming or just making the fucking stream harder to watch and listen to, you gotta fucking snip them in the bud. Alrighty. Yeah, here's the Discord if you're interested in joining. My understanding is that there's a little bit of a vetting process, so if you are like a wayward troll, you're probably not going to make it very far. But we're growing. We're growing all the time, you know. I got kicked out the Discord, so I think I'll stay away. Yeah, I'm sorry, Casey, but it's probably for the best for now. Damn it, this thing never hits when it's on the charger, and I fucking forget about that. Dude, now that we're not talking about Trump, you notice how the viewers dropped off? That shit is weird. You, like, in order to stay relevant within YouTube's algorithm, let me make sure, yeah, okay. In order to stay within YouTube's algorithm, you have to talk about something, like, topical and political constantly. It is not enough merely to bring it up for a few seconds. You've got to, like, stay on that shit. Just watch. I'm going to keep talking about Trump. I'll try and keep thinking of reasons to criticize him and mechanisms by which to criticize him. And watch. We're going to watch the viewers fucking bounce back now. Now, if I was talking about tax policy or some shit, we'd be sitting at like 10 people max. But because I'm going to be talking about Trump for a minute, just you watch as me talking about the massive cuts that Doge is making to critical services all over this country. Watch as the talk about that very topic brings the viewers higher and higher, slowly but surely. It's kind of wacky and weird. But yeah, I feel like it's so strange to me to see Trump people spamming up other people's chats with Trump shit, because I, as someone who voted for Biden, never felt the need to do that kind of thing, you know? Like, I never felt the need to proselytize about it. But for some reason, Trump people, like, and I don't think it's all Trump voters, but I do think that there is a weird sort of, like, like anti-Trump derangement syndrome, where people get deranged at anybody who isn't like a Trump dick sucker, or anyone who belongs to the groups that that Trump hates on and shit. What kind of car engine you trying to get a hit from? What do you mean? I agree. It is weird as fuck. It is weird as fuck. It's also weird for us to be sitting in like 11 minutes in and it's 4 fucking viewers. We never do that badly anymore. Come on now. What the fuck is even happening? Former Trump supporter, glad I left that cult in 2020. What did it for you, Casino Shark, if you don't mind me asking? Man, it's hard for me to imagine you being part of a way of thinking like that. I don't know. It's just hard for me to imagine you as a Trump supporter. You seem so kind and reasonable and intelligent. I almost have to believe that you were like not a very vocal one, maybe. I don't know. It's just very hard for me to imagine you as like a MAGA weirdo. The motorized vape, oil-powered vape. What? What are you talking about, Casey? What are you on about? I have no idea what you're referencing. Is that like a new product that's out or something? Oh, trust me, vape was way different in 2016 to 2020. It's just hard to imagine. I mean, people do change. Like, people are capable of profound change. Most people never do, but everyone's capable. Anybody can, with concerted effort, make better choices over time and end up having a better or more successful life as a result. The act itself isn't necessarily what's hard. It's keeping up with it. It's figuring out how to make that change reconcile with other events in your life, etc. I changed after I fully accepted my pansexual self in 2020. My anniversary coming out is today. That is really interesting because it's actually, this is right around the same time of year when I came out as trans in 2020. And the reason I felt comfortable enough to come out as trans in 2020 at that time was because it felt like there had been a real wave of like cultural acceptance among regular people for queer people and trans people. And especially in the early months of 2020, for some reason it felt like queer people were starting to come together as a movement again. And for the first time in my life, I started actually having conversations regularly with other trans women. And the era of acceptance that existed around the community that I lived in at that time and the online communities that I was a part of at that time was like the first environment I'd ever been in my life where I felt like I could genuinely be myself. I was talking about my earlier comment on the ADHD vape you have on a charger. Oh, yeah. Yeah, this thing. Well, you didn't decide you were bi. I mean, it's like you didn't decide to have those attractions, That's not really how that kind of thing works. But I get what you mean. I don't know. Is it wrong to say people are born that way? Because I kind of think that we are. Now, I also think that human sexuality is a way more complicated thing than we make it out to be. I think that most people, given the opportunity to actually be honest and given a consequence-free environment, I think most people would probably be varying shades of bi and pan, honestly. I think that human beings are pretty freaky fucking creatures. And if you look at our cousins in nature, our closest relatives, bonobos, they are insanely sexual with each other. Gay as fuck, straight as fuck. They be fucking. That's what they do instead of fight. Right? So if that's our closest cousin in nature, what does that say about us? Well, that tells me if that's the closest thing to the common ancestor that we both came from, that tells me our species is fucking freaky. Make sure you're hitting that like button, by the way, or double your screen, because single time you hit that like button, every time that number goes up, that's another chance for the stream to be recommended in more people's algorithm. And the more people get here, the more people hit the subscribe button and wait the mandatory 1 minute to participate in the chat, and the more the merrier. It is a chat interactive stream, and I do read most, I draw all my content from the chat. I don't read every single chat. I do read every single super chat, but I don't read every single regular chat, because sometimes it's fucking popping off in here, and it would be way too many chats to process through. But now's your chance. Hit that fucking like. I didn't decide, though, how to be pan, because I knew I wasn't straight. I mean, yeah, like, most people realize it over a span of years. It's not exactly something you wake up one day and you're like, you know what sounds good? Being fucking gay. Yeah. No, I'm sorry. I feel like there's a fantasy among straight men that that's how it goes, but that's not how it goes. And anybody who is queer recognizes that, like, it's something that you come to over a matter of years. It's something that takes a lot of difficult conversations and a lot of really weird encounters for you to 100% know about. And even when you're 100% about it, you'll spend the rest of your life really kind of thinking about it every so often when you're put in situations that make you wonder, right? Once again, hit the like button. Come on, there's 54 people in here. That's 50 more people than we have likes. That's absurdity. You're telling me you're sitting here listening, but you're not willing to hit that button? Come on now. Just double tap the screen. It's that easy. Love how you sat here and watched like a minute worth of my stream, and now you're assuming what I do in the rest of the time when I'm not streaming. I stream for maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours a day. There are 24 hours in a day. I don't know if you knew that. You know what? Just go prove yourself wrong. Can you? Like, Elf Equine, number one, I'm not a he. And if you're just going to misgender me, you can get the fuck out. Your next comment better not be rude. Don't be rude. Don't be rude. You are fake news. So let's get that straight. But go and prove yourself wrong real quick. Go look at some of the streams. I did one just the other day. I don't remember what the name of it was, but I did one just the other day where I was literally showing people like our garden outside and shit. I've done a bunch of streams where I've got the phone sitting up in one of the indoor windows on the barn, and I spend like an hour and a half taking care of the animals and talking to people and spending time outside. Because not only do I have a job, but I am also eventually going to inherit my family's farm. It's not much, but it's 2 acres more that aren't mortgaged than most people have. Nobody blocked you, Haley Jane. So I don't know what your, I don't know what your problem is, because you're not fucking banned. Never mind, it works now. Man, people are always coming in here with their tech support shit. Like these are what we call inside thoughts. Not because they're rude, just because they don't like. Anyway, so do you like Jesus or not? I love Jesus. Not a very big fan of his followers, but I love the prophet himself. Prophet himself was a pretty cool dude. Footballed it, King. Thank you. I appreciate that. A little super sticker. We got the heart eyes. I love that. Now, somebody else match that, and then another person match that, and then we'll be cooking with gas. Jesus is God. I mean, it really depends on the Christian denomination you ask. Some people say that Jesus is God. Most people, maybe not most, but it just depends on the Christian denomination you ask. Sometimes Jesus is God. Sometimes they're different but connected. Sometimes Jesus is the Son of God and he can't be the God. I'll send 100. You want it? I want all the money that my audience is going to consensually send me. I want you're $100 and you're $100. Sure, but that sound like what is it you kids say these days? Cap. There we go. Cap on that. My mom just died in a car crash, so can you make me feel better? Well, that's a fucking horrible thing to read in your live chat with the air of relative, like, I don't know. I feel like we've got an air of relative joy on the stream right now, but here's how I can make you feel better. Stay a while and listen. Sit around in the chat. Talk to people. Listen to them make fun of me and listen to me make fun of them back. Listen to us having fun and interesting dialogue and hit that fucking like button. You'll feel better. And if you don't feel better after that, then watch you some Bob Ross. Honestly. If you have a cat, hold your kitty. But the fact is, if you're not trolling and your mom really did die, which you're probably trolling, and this is probably like a completely made up story, but assuming that it's not, you are going to live with that grief for the rest of your life. And you are basically going to have to deal with it the way any normal human being deals with grief. And the way that is expressed is going to be different depending on who you are and how you've grieved in the past. So I can give you like some general advice as to what you can do to maybe feel a little bit better. But ultimately it is up to you and any other person that is grieving to find something in their lives that's worth putting in that place of importance, right? That's up to you guys. Dwag. Try again, Biggie. Or Riggy, or whatever your name is. Yo, Mr. Skeleton, I'm Mr. Genesis. What I say? What the fuck? Man, Casey is always going off on motherfuckers in the chat. I can't even be mad. Like, how could I be mad? I represent God. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I mean, in a sense, we all represent God. Man was, after all, according to the Bible, made in God's image. So every human being is a reflection of divinity. Which shows do you like? Well, I've been watching a lot of Bob Ross. Before that, I was watching a lot of Highway to Heaven. I watch a podcast called Deep Fat Fried. Nowadays, it's mostly Onion Nuggets. That's the main show that they do. I've been watching more Wall Cow Live lately, which is, I don't know, it's like the modern equivalent of Jerry Springer, and it feels very much the same fancy in me. I used to like Jerry Springer as well. When it comes to like my childhood and younger years, I could sit here and talk all goddamn night long about all the fucking and shows like that I used to like. But I think what you're more talking about are things that have stood the test of time in my viewership. Yes or no, do you love God? I'm an atheist, so When it comes to the like modern biblical Abrahamic idea of God, I am personally not very much a believer in that conception of the divine. I think that to think that the Bible hasn't been completely misrepresented to us, considering the amount of powerful people's hands that it's passed through, seems silly to me. It seems very silly to me, and that makes the Bible an unreliable source, right? That said, one of the few things that, in my opinion, you can use to kind of lend at least some verisimilitude to maybe the idea of some of the ideas discussed in the Bible is look for the rare times when the Bible is consistent. For example, the story of Jesus, right? The story of Christ is not fundamentally contradicted anywhere in the Bible, which is more than you can say about a bunch of other stories. There are two different accounts given of creation. There are like two different accounts of the flood, two or three different accounts, I should say. And when it comes to Jesus, his character is not fundamentally betrayed by itself anywhere else in the book, which means I don't think that the Bible was 100% right in identifying this dude as like the Son of God, return of the, like any of that. Like, I don't know that it was all that, but what I do believe is what modern historians say of Jesus, which is that he was likely a number of preachers with a very similar message, a message that might have been carried on by each of them and added to progressively due to their association, due to like mind. So yeah, Jesus Christ as a mythological figure and as a philosophical figure, I've got, I would say that I've got some kind of like philosophical relationship with that concept, with that being. As far as like the Abrahamic God as described in the King James Version of the Bible, I don't think there's any way that that God could exist. It's too contradictory. One minute we're hearing about how God loves us, but the next minute we're talking about how he's going to burn us all up in a, in eternal flame. Like the next time he comes to cleanse the world, it will be not with rain but a flame, right? The Old Testament God seems really fucking vengeful too, whereas the New Testament God seems to take a completely different tact. Old Testament God would have destroyed the entire planet for crucifying his son. New Testament God listens when Jesus says, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do." That tells me somebody has monkeyed with the text somewhere, because I refuse to believe that human hands would have willingly written down such a completely blatantly contradictory character. And be that as it is, how on earth could I go around calling myself a Christian when what I would be believing in is something that has been manipulated so many fucking times by people in power so as to be completely unrecognizable from its original source material? Also, there are 155 people in here. If each and every one of you guys liked right now, we would have like 164 likes. That would be so fucking dope. So come on, hit that like button. Takes not but a second. Are you a Satanist? What? No. You don't have to be a Satan. Dude, you do not have to be a Satanist to recognize that the like myth of God as it's portrayed in the King James Version of the Bible is an inaccurate portrayal. Nobody's going to like this. 10 people have already. Just because your dumbass doesn't want to doesn't mean other people don't want to. Let's have 10 more people hit that like button to prove Zero VR wrong. 10 more people hit that like button. That's not a hard number to reach when you're talking to 177 people. Yeah, you Satanist, your greatest fups. Wait, my greatest fups, say your greatest hits. The game's mine again and ain't nothing changed but the lock. So before I say this bitch, mwah, give Jade a kiss. Had to wake up late by day to this. Being rich shamed by some prick using my name for clickbait because I said his goddamn name. Now I got a cock. Bitch, yeah, bitch, pop champagne to this. It's your moment. This is it. As big as you're gonna get, so enjoy it. Had to give you a career to destroy it. Lethal injection, go to sleep 6 feet deep. I give you a beef for the effort, but if I was 3'11", you'd have got to me, and for the record, you would fucking suck a dick to fucking be me for a second. Lick a ball sack to get on my channel. Give your life to be a solidified. This motherfucking shit is like Rambo weighs out of bullets, but what good is a fucking machine gun when it's out of ammo? Had enough of this tatted up mumble rapper. How the fucking him and I battle? He'd have to fuck him in my flannel. I'll give him my sandals, cause he knows as long as I'm shady, he's gonna have to live in my shadow. Exhausting, letting off on your offspring. Lick a gun barrel, bitch, get off me. You dance around like a sunbarrel, but we can all see you're fucking salty, cause young Gerald's balls deep inside a Halsey. Your red sweater, your black leather. You dress better, I rap better. That a death threader, a love letter. Little white toothpick thinks it's over a pick. I just don't like you, prick. Thanks for dissing me. Now I had an excuse on the mic to write, not a like, but really, I don't care who's in the right, but you losing the fight you picked. Who else wanted Kells fucking nails in these coffins as soft as cotton nail? Kill shot, I will not fail. I'm with the doc still, but this idiot's boss pops pills and tells him he got skills. But Kells, the day you put out a hits, the day Diddy admits that he put the hit out that got Pac killed. Ah. Sorry, I love that song. I really do. You should listen to Nirvana. Man, how fucking young do you think I am, dude? Come on now. And now, granted, I know I just scrolled like motherfucker, but I'm gonna be 27 in a few months. Come on now. I've heard some fucking Nirvana before, okay? I need to change. No, you are the motherfucker that needs to change. Feeling like you got the right to tell other people how they ought to live, that is not what Christ called you here to do. That is not what Christ called you here to do. Feel that conviction when I tell you that is not what Christ called you to do. You were not called to be the judge. You were called to be the messenger. You were not called to be the judge. Christ called us to spread the word of God. Christ called you to shepherd his flock. Christ called you to be the messengers and the shepherds, but not the judges. Man, we might have to turn on a fucking higher level of community moderation, huh? Where did you get your bangs done? I cut them myself. Probably ill-advised, but I do it anyway. Why are they getting tamed? Because they're fucking idiots. That's why. Don't question my mods. That's a fucking bad idea around here. It's just not a good thing to do. Don't do it. It's a good way to get yourself banned the fuck up out of here. The mods are empowered for a reason. They're here to make this community legible. I talk to my chat on these streams, if you haven't noticed. And having to listen to the dumb motherfucking shit that comes out of people's minds when they are completely unfettered by modship is not something I am altogether that interested in doing. So I've got a wide and varied group of people who are dedicated to making sure these streams remain legible and watchable. The mods probably don't like you. That's why they show up for every stream, right? That's why like 3 or 4 people from my mod team got together independently on their own and set up a fan Discord for this community, because they don't like me. Yeah, they're a bunch of DEI hires. Definitely earned it. I beg of you, please. What the fuck are you talking about, weirdo? Average liberal. Couldn't be further from the truth, but congratulations on letting the media convince you what people think and how people are without even talking to them once. Good job on being completely brainwashed by the American news media. Your mods are mean. I don't give a fuck. That's why they're there, motherfucker. They are there because they are cold. They are cold motherfuckers that will swing that axe without me even having to tell them to do so. I do have a secret phrase that when I use it, oh man, heads start flying. Heads start flying. We'll just test it out. Order 66. Order 66. Let's make the chat readable again. Just watch the heads start flying. Just watch the heads start flying. Order 66. Gemma, we're having an order 66 right this second. And hello, yes, and greetings, and you are completely right. Make sure you like the stream. Because that's the secret phrase is ligma balls. Yeah, it is. Why do you think that just hating on all religion pertaining to Christ? Oh, man. Gone. Instantly gone. This is what I mean. This is what I mean. Now, if you're wondering, how the fuck can I even chat in here if her mods are just going to ban everybody? Well, the answer is very simple. Don't be an idiot. If you want to type something in here, spell check it. Make sure that it's legible. Make sure that it's grammatically understandable. Make sure that at the end of that comment, I've got one question, maybe one question with a side question at max that I can read and respond to in a cogent way. And if your comment doesn't contain that, it's probably going to get banned around here. Sorry. It's just how it has to be. And make sure you like that fucking stream. 200 people and we're sitting at 20 likes. What the fuck is that? Double tap your screen, people. Come on now. Please tell me why you see, once again, I don't look like Dennis Nedry. I love how bro is criticizing us while holding a vape. Yes, I am holding the universal symbol of coolness, and your square ass is completely offended by it. I'm not the one who chose to bring religion up, Addie. Addie or Addle or whatever your name is. I'm not the one who chose to bring it up. I bet you have pronoun. Yeah, like every other human being. Man, people have gotten absolutely retarded because all a pronoun is he, she, you. Well, you I don't think is a pronoun. A pronoun is like a... Oh, fuck. I used to know the like English teacher definition of a pronoun, but it's words that are used to describe a person without referring to them by name. It's is a pronoun, you know? And I got news for you. Anytime you say a sentence where you're talking about your brother and you say, he was at the bar the other day, you just used a pronoun. You just used a pronoun, a scary ooh pronoun. Man, you guys are fucking scared as fuck, dude. People keep talking about how scared the left is over Trump, and like newspapers like The Atlantic just can't stop printing news stories about how scary the fucking country is now that Trump's back in office. But I gotta tell you what, there is not a fucking group of people in this country more dominated by fear than your average fucking Republican. Or to correct that and make it a little bit more closer to truth, like absolute truth, there's no more paranoid and scared a person than your average maggot. I think your average Republican, as in Republican voter, probably isn't that fucking terrified. Maybe that's not true, but believing that helps me preserve some of my faith in humanity, so I'm going to keep on believing it until I'm shown differently. What I do know for a fact is that damn it, I hate when I fucking blank out in the middle of a sentence, literally in the middle of a sentence. I think about something else, it enters my head, and it's like, hey, look at me. And I'm like, what the fuck was I talking about? God damn it. Fuck. Oh, right. Yeah. So I don't know that the entirety of the Republican voter base is dominated by fear, but I do know this. I feel like most people active are. I feel like most people active politically right now are pretty dominated by fear. Now, I think the hardcore MAGA chuds probably have a couple of more scoops of it than me and you, you know? Whoever's sitting out there listening to this thinking, I'm scared of some shit, but I'm not like that scared. Okay. But think about a Trump person, right? Think about a person who has to put on all of their Trump merch for them to feel safe and proud when they go outside, right? For them to feel self-confident and safe, they have to wear all of their Trump merch and all of their Trump stuff so that they don't get approached or talked to by any dirty, scary liberals, right? Fear. They're scared, right? What happens when one of these people what is a thought that runs through these people's heads every time they see a public restroom? What if there's a trans person in there? Oh no. Fear. What is their first fucking thought every time a Muslim or a Mexican crosses their path? What if they're a terrorist? What if they're a rapist? What if they're a murderer? Fear. Fear. They're terrified. Utterly terrified. And you can't tell these bitches nothing either, because they'll never admit it. They'll never fucking admit it. Shame his holy message. Lamau, I should be like a Catholic priest spreading the Holy Spirit. Oh, well, okay. Well, can't finish reading that comment out loud. I'm a monetized YouTuber now. Can't do that. Nope. Actually, I probably could, but I feel like, within my first month of making it to that point is probably not a good time to start openly, loudly saying the super edgy jokes, Not scared, agitated, fed up with stupidity. No, you're scared. You are fucking scared. Just admit it. You'll feel better. Literally, just admit it. You'll feel better. You are not fucking fed up and agitated. You've been made to be angry because you've been made to be fearful. Let me ask you something. Okay, well, if you're not even like a hardcore maggot, then you're not the type of person I'm talking about. If you're not the type of person who gives a fuck what other people wear on their day-to-day lives, I'm not talking about you, bro. I made it a point to say that I think most people are dominated by fearful decision-making in politics, but when it comes to being utterly overran by it, I think that is a specific affliction of Trump's hardcore, most dyed-in-the-wool fan base. I'm being however the fuck I want to be. People have been being nasty throughout this entire fucking chat, and that's the first comment I read from you, and I'm gonna assume, especially if I don't read the whole comment, which I didn't at first, I'm gonna assume that it's probably following the flow of the rest of the fucking the rest of the people in chat, See, but you're choosing to focus on my conduct and not the substance of what I'm saying, right? You're choosing to focus on my conduct rather than answering for the fact that you felt called out by something that I specified is a tendency that's going around in general, but something that I feel like is a particular specialty of one kind of group in politics. And because you feel like you have allied yourself to that group, because you probably look at yourself as not just your standard Republican voter, but as some new thing, right? You feel called out by my admonitions, right? But my response means just as true. If I'm not talking about you, then I'm not talking about you. Everyone shut up. What's wrong, Gemma? Aw, Gemma. You feel so hated on? Why? What's wrong? Well, what do you want to talk about, Gemma? We can talk about you. The way you and the mods are talking about religion, well, you know, once again, if we're not talking about you, then you're not, I don't expect every Christian to account for the sins of the church as a whole. Why do you think people get so upset and disrespectful when it comes to religion? Because religion means different things depending on the angle you come at it from. For me, religion is a horrible oppressive structure that I had to escape because it was killing me from the inside. For other people, religion is the way that they structure their lives. It's the way that their weeks work. It's the way that their mornings are structured. They wake up with a Bible crossword. They read the Bible every day at the same time of day. They go to the same church and the same church service every single Sunday at the same time, and that is their life, right? Their life is intrinsically built, centered around their religion, and a lot of them don't know how to do the things that they like to do without that framework of religion around it. To me, it's just like, I'm not disrespectful to anyone, but I can't control what other people do. Well, yeah, but nobody expects you to, Gemma. That's the thing. I mean, the only expectation I put on Christians that see themselves as different from the people that I'm criticizing when I criticize Christianity, the only thing I put on them is be better, be better than the people I'm talking about. And when you see a Christian that you have some kind of closeness to being that way, consider having a conversation with them. That's all, Like if you're a Christian and you happen to have someone in your family that's like a prosperity gospel type or like a hateful evangelical type or something like that, then you are in a better position to talk them out of those positions while not forcing them to necessarily confront the darkness of their religion as a whole. You're in a position to do that in a way that I would never be, right? I might, through my mastery of Christian phraseology and shit, I might be able to stumble my way through a conversation like that, but I'm not going to have nearly as good a time as somebody who, like you, Gemma, who's actually like a practicing Christian and shit. I'm not going to have as good a chance at doing that. So my hope is that people who encounter my criticisms of religion and who agree with me but feel kind of bad because they want to help and they want to do something about it and they don't like that things are that way, but things are that way, all I ask is for those people to consider having conversations with the people that they love. Your local Christian is here. What's up, Sylvian? Maybe I got lucky. I know one of the nicest Christians, but only one out of many. I'm glad I've seen a good side. Well, yeah, I've met plenty. Like, that's the thing. That's why, if you listen to my criticisms of religion, a lot of times I make very broad criticisms of Christianity as an idea and Christianity as a modern movement in the mainstream church. I like to think my criticisms of Christianity are pretty nuanced. I leave a lot of space for people like Gemma who are kind and considerate and try their best to live up to the Beatitudes. And I don't hate anybody, like I really try not to hate anybody. I try to my hate to the actions that they, like, it just feels wrong to like hate a person necessarily, with the exception of like politicians and CEOs who I think always deserve our hate. No matter what religion you are, no matter what you believe or don't believe in, the 10 Commandments are extremely useful. Not really. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's ass nor his wife. Can you explain how that one is useful in the modern day? Yo, folks, a girl in my section is apparently missing. Crazy thing is, I seen her today and she went missing yesterday. The most Casey thing would be to shut my trap, but honestly, I should help. Yeah, you have to say something, Casey. You have to say something, and I'm not trying to be like a weirdo or a dickhead about this, but the fact that you've now admitted online to a stream of 50 people that was being watched by like 220 people earlier means that you really need to tell. If you like, because if you don't, that could come back on you. All I'm gonna say. I'm not trying to get no heat, but it's just something you should fucking consider. You should help if you think you can. If you think you spotted a person who is missing, always call that in. I do agree with Dan. In multiple religions, I found Jesus saying, I came that ye may have life and have it abundantly was a real eye-opener. Maybe he was just trying to help. Well, I think that's what I always say is like the message of Jesus is a pretty high-quality message. The followers of Jesus are what I don't understand, because so many of them are driving around in Escalades and they've got rich people clothes on and shit when they go to church, and they've got nice ass fucking perfume every time I see them, and it's like, motherfucker, you don't live by the fucking shit you preach. You don't live by the shit that you believe in. If you're an actual Christian, you should be living as close to a fucking vow of poverty as you can be, and still live within a modern society with modern convenience. I don't think you should have to be a fucking, living in the poorhouse, but a mansion? No. An Escalade? No, you don't need that. God's people do not need an Escalade to get around. A fucking Honda Fit would be fine. Do we get to hear you sing tonight? Maybe. Somebody should super chat for it. That'd be fun. Love that quote. Thank you. Can't copy the pin comment. You're not a douchebag to your neighbor. That's a good thing. Yeah, but it doesn't say don't be a douchebag to your neighbor. It says thou shalt not covet your neighbor's ass nor his wife. Covet is a synonym for want. So, in other words, it says thou shalt not want your neighbor's ass nor his wife. I guess the wife part is like, I guess that's an admonition against adultery, but being covetous of your neighbor's ass, as George Carlin once said, is what keeps the economy going. It seems really strange that a bunch of Christian so-called capitalists want to enforce that one. But if you guys are serious about it, we can end consumerism. I'm fine with it. Jesus chilled with prostitutes and washed the feet of those in a lower status than him. Yep. I have now texted the people close to the girl. Hopefully they get her to come back. Hell yeah. Good job, Casey. You did the right thing. Thank you. I don't most people driving around in a nice car is willing to do that. Right. Just because one section of the Bible says something doesn't mean that that's what it's saying. You got to read the whole chapter content. Well, that's kind of the problem with the Bible, though, Gemma, is that it's been manipulated by so many times. Like, it's been manipulated by so many different people in so many different positions of power in order to fulfill so many different political goals that there are now complete and blatant contradictions in the Bible. So that's why I just say, you know what? I don't know what the fuck I believe in, but I know I don't believe in the contradictory nature of the Bible as anything more than kind of like an ongoing human record of storytelling. I think the character of Jesus is probably the most consistent thing about the Bible, and it's also the thing I like most about the Bible. So, you know, yeah, do with that what you will, I suppose. The Phoebe, yes, please. I love reviews on things. Thank you. I appreciate it. But yeah, if somebody super chats, I'll definitely play some guitar. Might be fun. Be right back. Oh, I just got my guitar restringed again, so now I can do some jams on my streams again. Need to get practicing and start busking. Finally. Well, good job, Ignar. I need to get new strings for this old girl. I got paid again today, but I got way too much shit coming out of the paycheck this time, so gonna have to wait. For now, she's gonna have to stay strung up all weird like she is now. Technically, my guitar has 2 E strings right now, but one of them is tuned to B. Could I apply for Discord mod since it's so new? The Discord is honestly mostly a fan-run community. I'm an admin over there, but I give the people who started it and do a lot of the conversating over there, I give them carte blanche to make kind of like that kind of decision. So I wouldn't want to say yes or no without having them here, to say. So, but you're welcome to join up. You're welcome to join the Discord and ask anybody in there if you could be taken on as a mod apprentice or whatever the fuck or something. Just tell them I didn't say yes or no. I just said ask the people in charge. Who should I ask? If you look at the different people who are chatting and there's names, you'll see who are the admins. But I would just ask, like, in general, in like general bantering, I think is the name of the channel. Like, do y'all need another mod or something like that? And then, they'll come to me about it. We'll talk about it, make a decision, and then Yeah. I left the Discord. I was wondering if you did. Gemma. That made me sad. I was like, oh, I think Gemma's gone. My community's moderation team is about to break down live in front of us. Watch, dude. I don't know why that tickled me so much. Casey's cool. Bring him back. Well, I told Perseus and Jessica that I was like, well, I understand why you guys banned him, and I basically told him we'll give him a break from the Discord for a while. I'm sure Casey will be back eventually, but you know. All the chats are mods. It be like that sometimes. It has to be like that sometimes, because sometimes we got like 200 people up in here, and you gotta keep this shit tight. Who knows? Casey's a walking habit. Oh shit, I'm back to referring to myself. You know, Casey, I find your attention-seeking habits a little endearing. I think my mods find them less so. Maybe sometime in the next century he can return. Yeah, within the next 100 years, you know, at some point. It might be tomorrow, might be next week. It might be 20 fucking 4 years from now. You just never know. At least Casey's cool about it. Casey doesn't seem too torn up about it, which is good. See what I mean? Casey is like unfazed. No, I think Casey's probably going to grow out of a lot of these, like, you know, attention-seeking behaviors with time. And I kind of like another egotist personally, you know. I'm a fan of that personality type, but it does have to be tempered a little bit with age before it becomes socially adaptive and acceptable. Man, I gotta go, like, soon. A century is merely a second to Casey. I'll be back end of next stream, probably. I mean, knowing me, probably. But that ain't a goddamn promise, neither, alright? I'll be in the back of the club. Elaborate on that? I heard ego. You'll have to ask me which thing I need to elaborate on. I'm too much of a stoner. That's what I grew into. I won't grow out of this for a while. See, that kind of self-awareness is what tells me that you're going to definitely grow out of it, though. That, like, you don't have that much self-awareness and not eventually become a way more, you know, I can't think of the word I'm looking for, or the phrase, but like, right now you've got some socially maladaptive habits, but I think a lot of those are going to drop off with time and experience because you've got all the ingredients that are there to make a funny, chill person to hang out with. You've got self-awareness. You've made some really funny self-deprecating jokes, but you've also made some good roasts of me and other people in the chat. Um, you don't type like a moron, that's a big fucking help. You don't type or talk like a moron, so that's a big help. So, like, you know, you're good, just saying having an ego is okay or something. Well, I was saying that I'm kind of an egotist. I think you kind of have to be to do something like this, right? And I am a big fan of other egotists, right? Especially when they're self-aware. I really don't like them when they're not self-aware, but when they are, I think we can be a pretty funny group of people. And I think sometimes like the nature of our self-philosophy and our self-awareness is just kind of inherently funny. And so I think it's kind of an acceptable thing. In my mind, it's a totally acceptable thing to have like a massive rage ego, as long as you're not a soft little weak bitch about it, right? If you're able to stand there like a towering fucking uh, bulwark against any assault to your self-perception, then you are going to be an interesting person despite being an egotist. But if you're the kind of person who gets butthurt, like if you've got a massively high opinion of yourself, but it's like easily shattered by anyone that's more skilled with words than you are, then you're gonna be perceived as like a major douchebag. Because it's like people that actually have super high opinions of themselves are completely like unless they are like a vulnerable narcissist, they are completely uh, unfazed by insult and that kind of thing. Why can't God come down to strike me? Well, because the Abrahamic God doesn't exist. Hard to strike somebody when you are in fact a myth and a legend. Well, anyway, I reckon I gotta go. It's getting pretty late. I need to get to bed for work tomorrow. I guess. At least I don't have to take my mother-in-law to work tomorrow. That's a fucking relief. Not because there's anything wrong with her. It's not like I don't enjoy her company. I just have to get up way the fuck earlier when I do take her to work. I get to sleep in for like an extra 30 minutes when I don't have to do that. More like an extra 45 minutes if we're being honest. What do you do about facial hair? I shave every single day, sometimes multiple times a day. I've got Nair, but I've never used it. I want to find some like good hair treatment options eventually, but eventually I just want to do like laser hair removal and just get the follicles burned out of my fucking face. That seems like a pretty fucking fun solution to me, but we'll see. I love your self-awareness. I remember I was about to scroll when you commented on something like religion, but you caught yourself and said, well, that was unfair, or something like that. Respected it a ton and stayed. Yeah, I mean, I catch myself doing things like that all the time. I try to remain a pretty fucking self-aware person. Like, I know that I'm a massive egotist with a super high opinion of myself, but I try to keep in mind that I'm not completely fucking infallible. That no matter what my opinion of myself might be, that the fact of it is that I'm actually a pretty average wit, right? And so I try to keep that kind of thing in mind. And when I do catch myself saying something unfair or making up a fact or whatever, I will, 9 times out of 10, you'll find me saying, wait, no, you know what? I don't actually know that for sure. Or adding some other kind of nuance that makes it clear that I'm not, um, that the irony of what I just said isn't lost on me, or that the misstatement of it or whatever. And the other 1 out of 10 times is like, I say some dumb shit, somebody corrects me on it later, and then I come back with a retraction on the next stream where I'm like, yeah, so I was way wrong about this, that, and the other thing. And, you know, sucks. But what is one to do? Be correct all the time? That'd be a little unfair. You know, to me, I just roll right into another egotist thing. But to someone else, that might be like a really big deal. For me, I just treat being wrong as learning more, you know? Oh, so I was wrong about that thing. Okay, so now I know what the truth of it is. Great. How does that do anything but improve me, you know? Based per usual. Thanks. Alrighty, guys. I'm gonna fucking get out of here. I appreciate you guys a ton. And, you know, um, thank you for watching. Remember to like the stream. That's always a help. And thank you to the person who donated $1 earlier. I appreciate you, even if it was just $1.